Welcome all to the semester for BSc Zoology core course paper Animal Diversity, Codata 2, and we are discussing on class Aves, and this presentation will bring to you the classification of Aves. Class Aves is divided into two subclasses, subclass 1 Archaeornithus and subclass 2 Neornithus. Archaeornithus comes from two Greek terms like archaeos and ornithos. Archaeos it means ancient, and ornithos it means bird. So Archaeornithus put into a single term it means ancient birds, and it includes a single order Archaeopterygiformes and a single genus Archaeopteryx lithographica, the species. Subclass 2 Neornithus, again it comes from two Greek terms which are neos, that means modern or new, and ornithos, that means birds. So we have Neornithus referring to modern birds. The subclass Neornithus, it is divided into four suborders, superorders, superorder Odontognathae, superorder Paleognathae, superorder Impennae, and superorder Neognathae. Okay, so in this presentation we'll be looking in detail the characteristic features of the two subclasses. The subclass Archaeornithus, it includes extinct or archaic Jurassic birds. Jurassic birds in the sense of birds which were dominant during the Jurassic period, and it is about 155 million years ago. Their wings are primitive with little power of flight, and we have only the fossil representations of the species belonging to Archaeornithus, and that shows that they have a very long tail which is tapering, and the tail it is supported with more than 30 vertebrae, and they have lizard-like bearing two lateral rows of rectrices. Okay, so you can see this is one of the pictorial representation of a species from Archaeornithus, and here you can see it has a very long tail. The tail extends till here, and the tail it is provided with, or it is attached to two lateral rows of rectrices. Rectrices means it is the tail feathers. Okay, so two lateral rows of what you call the rectrices are placed along the two sides of the tail. Okay, usually in modern birds, the tip almost it is short and it ends over here. It is the tail feathers which projects beyond. But here, in the case of Archaeornithus, the tail extends till here, and on both the sides of the tail, you can see the rectrices being arranged. Tail it is provided with 18 to 20 free caudal vertebrae. All the since the caudal vertebrae are free, pygostyle is completely absent. So earlier in the previous presentation, which mentioned the characteristic features of class Aves, we saw that few of the posterior caudal vertebrae fuse together to form a structure which is referred as a pygostyle. But this pygostyle is absent in the case of Archaeopteryx. Okay. Each hand it bears three unfused or independent digits, and the digits are clawed. Okay, the fingers are clawed, is provided with claws. The skull it is with both the jaws having teeth, and these teeth are placed inside sockets. It is embedded in sockets. So again, teeth embedded in sockets present in both the jaws. It is again a feature unique to Archaeornithus, absent in Neornithus. Vertebrae, it is amphicoelous type. That is a centrum. It is amphicoelous, having concavity on both the sides, on the anterior as well as the posterior side. But we have already seen that the vertebrae of the modern birds, it is heterocoelous type. That is a saddle-shaped type. So what happens again? The Archaeornithus, it shows a character very different from the Neornithus form. Then sternum, it is without a keel. Actually, the sternum was not preserved in the specimens, but like later specimens which were found, and there we found that the sternum it is not having any keel. Okay, and the keeled sternum it is a unique feature of the modern birds. Then carpals and metacarpals are free. Carpals and the metacarpals and the phalanges, yes, they are all free. Okay, we're free in the case of Archaeornithus. And the arrangement of the phalanges was of the reptilian type, was almost like a that found in a reptile. Then thoracic ribs slender without any uncinate processes. The abdominal ribs were present in addition to cervical and thoracic ribs. So you can see thoracic ribs were present, but they were devoid of any uncinate processes, while the cervical ribs, thoracic ribs, as well as abdominal ribs were also present. These abdominal ribs are absent in the case of modern birds. Cerebellum, they were small. The skull, it was almost similar to the modern birds and rounded brain case, but the cerebellum, it was small. Um, so you can see over here, this is a pictorial representation of Archaeornithus. Now coming to Neornithus, they are modern birds, obviously living and extinct forms are there. But post-Jurassic birds are the ones which are included in Neornithus. And they have well-developed wings adapted for flight, with a few exceptions like ostriches and all, which you have already known about. So these have a short tail, reduced one, and caudal vertebrae, usually 13 or less than 13, with rectrices, that is the tail feathers, arranged in a fan-like manner around the tail tip. Okay. Wings, they are composed of partly fused fingers, three fingers similar to that of Archaeornithus, but they are partly fused and they are devoid of any claws. Okay. Teeth absent except in some of the fossil birds, that is the extinct birds, but otherwise, generally speaking, teeth are completely absent in Neornithus forms. Then vertebrae, as we have already mentioned, heterocoelous in living forms, while it was amphicoelous in Archaeornithus, isn't it? Then caudal vertebrae, few in number, and um, the among the caudal vertebrae present, only few are free, while the rest it is fused to form a pygostyle. Right. Sternum usually with a keel, and carpals, it is fused with metacarpals distally to form a structure known as carpometacarpus. And when we'll be studying the type species, we'll be looking in detail about the structure of the skeletal system. That time we can see how it is forming the carpometacarpus. Okay, but here we can see that it is fused, the carpals and metacarpals, but in Archaeornithus they were completely separated. Okay, thoracic ribs usually with uncinate process as against what we have seen in the case of Archaeornithus, and abdominal ribs are absent. The cerebellum, it is large, and Neornithus, the subclass, it is divided into four superorders: superorder Odontonatae, Paleonatae, Impernae, and Neonatae. So we'll be looking in detail into the characteristic features of each superorder, the classification, and one example from each of the orders. Okay, so that will be coming in the coming presentations. Right? Thank you.